Hi there guys, got a video here for you today on a new rifle coming to the channel, and this one is going to be on the AGT Vixen. So what we're going to be doing in this one is taking a quick look at the rifle, and I'll also be getting you some information on it. So to start off with, this rifle here is a sub 12 pound 177 Vixen compact, and the rifle was purchased using my own money from the Crawley surplus store. Now, I buy all my rifles from there, as in my opinion, it's the best RFD in my end of the UK. So case in point, what other RFD in the UK has a Black Wolf in the new chassis, an FX M4 in the copper finish, a few of the new Theoben Rapids, including a Ben Taylor Special Edition, and then just a bunch of other high-end rifles in stock and ready to go. So if you've never taken a trip down to Crawley before, it's certainly well worth the trip. Right then, with that all out of the way, we can start talking about the rifle. So we're going to be starting off at the back here. If we take a close look at the back, we can see a 250cc carbon fibre bottle, along with a neoprene cover and a plastic butt piece. The butt piece is adjustable up and down, but not in and out, and the neoprene cover both hides the bottle and makes it a little nicer to put up to your cheek, so your cheek isn't touching the cold bottle. Moving slightly forward of that, we have the pressure gauge on the top here, and like most AGT rifles, this one here is a 300 bar fill. Below that we have the filler port, which is covered over by this nice dust cap from the factory. This section here also houses the regulator, which on this particular rifle was set at around 110 bar. Moving on to the block, the first thing I'll point out is the scope rail along the top here. So this is a Picatinny scope rail, and it is flat, so there is no MOA adjustment built in. Moving down from that, we have the cocking handle, and on this rifle it's fitted to the right hand side, although it is flippable over to the left or vice versa depending on your preference. Forward of that we also have the mag well, so this is the mag well of the rifle, and you do get two mags in the box when you buy it. The mags are the standard rotary type magazines, so what you do is you just drop a pellet in that first chamber, rotate the magazine slightly, drop the next pellet in, and continue loading until the magazines are full. The magazines are 15 shots in capacity, and they are loaded upside down as compared to both the Vulcan 3 and the Eurogan 2. So the slot is aligned with the bottom, cock the rifle back, and then install your magazine. I will say at this point there is no anti-double load feature, although there is a last shot lockout. Both the magazines have proven to be really quite reliable. I have not had any feed issues or jamming, even when cocking the rifle pointed up. Moving on from that, we have the trigger and the grip. So the grip itself is an AR style grip, and this one here is by IMI Defense. It is a hard plastic one with the cap in the bottom, the same one that is on the AGT manual. Being an AR style grip, you should be able to swap the grip out to whatever you prefer. I'm probably going to end up putting just a standard ergo grip on here, as that's pretty much my favourite grip on the market today. Moving forward onto the trigger, it is a really nice two-stage fully adjustable trigger. A nice light first stage, and then a defined stop and clean break as you move through the second stage. All of the AGT triggers that I've tried and adjusted so far have been fantastic, and this one is no different. Although I will mention, as it bothers some people, that the trigger blade itself is plastic. Moving on from that, and we finally come to the barrel, the bottle guard, and the iconic shroud. So the bottom rail on this particular rifle is the aluminium one from the AGT Eurogan. From the factory, this rifle I should say, came with a plastic guard, but luckily Crawley Surplus Store had the metal one in stock, so I bought that one and installed it onto the rifle. So the reason for that is apparently the plastic one can cause POI shift, especially when you mount your bipod to the bottom. The plastic guard interferes with the shroud, However, I have not tested that for myself, as I pretty much just bought the metal rail, screwed it onto the front of the rifle, and used that in all my testing. The rail itself is available as a separate piece from Vector Air for around £115, although I do believe that they have started selling the rifle with the aluminium handguard included as standard from the factory. So if you're looking at a new Vixen, keep an eye out for those ones there. Moving on from there, and we come to the shroud. So the shroud is 50mm in diameter and threaded directly onto the barrel. The shroud itself does not have any way of connecting additional moderation to the front, although I will say it's not as loud as I expected it to be. Before I bought the rifle, I did watch quite a few of the reviews online, and a few people were complaining about the noise, but to be honest with you, I did not find it to be a problem. It's not super silent by any means, but I didn't find it to be overly loud. It's probably a bit loud for back garden use, but no problem in sort of the field or down at a range. The shroud itself is aluminium, and it just threads onto the front of the barrel. So I'll take the shroud off just so we can take a quick look at the barrel. So there we have the shroud removed. It does have an O-ring in the base here to stop gases coming back through into the action area, and the O-ring also helps center the shroud onto the barrel. The barrel itself on this particular rifle is a CZ unchoked 250mm long barrel, and the barrel is threaded M14 by 1.25 on the end there, just like a standard AGT barrel. When I first bought the rifle, I was a little worried about the barrel, as unchoked barrels can be fairly hit or miss, but luckily this particular rifle has proven to be really quite accurate. So I didn't unfortunately take my scope cam down the range, but I did get a fair amount of shooting footage, so let's go down range and I'll show you that. Here we are all set up down Pete's airgun farm in the 50-yard range. I have the rifle set up here and we're just doing some 5-shot 30-yard groups using JSB Express pellets. The targets that I'm shooting are 24mm in diameter with a red dot in the middle. At 30 yards, the rifle is pretty much stacking the pellets on top of one another, and the footage is in real time. So you can hear that I'm just rattling through the shots using the magazine. Overall, the rifle is really easy to shoot. Some rifles do have to be babied in order to get good groups, but with the Vixen it's pretty much effortless. It's a really enjoyable rifle to shoot. At the moment I just have the rifle set up on an Accutac bipod and a rear bag at the back. So that's how the rifle shoots at 30 yards, moving out to 50, and this time I'm testing a few different pellets. So on this particular target here, the top row was done with the JSB shorts, the second row was done using the H&N Barracuda 8s, and then the last row was done with the JSB Expresses. The rifle will shoot most pellets very well, however it seemed to prefer the lighter pellets over the heavier ones, with the JSB Express performing the best throughout testing. I will say at this point that the rifle has thoroughly been pellet tested, so I've tried pretty much every single JSB, every single H&N, and pretty much any other pellet you can think of I have tried through the rifle. Pellets like the QYS streamlined and domed pellets seem to work very well at 30 yards, but fell off a little at 50. However, the rifle would shoot the lighter pellets fairly well, and the only pellets that the rifle really didn't like were the Bisley pellets. But with that all said, there's a bit of shooting at both 30 and 50 yards, so I'll take you back over to the bench and we'll show you the groups close up. And here's just the groups from 30 yards. These three in the top here were just done to zero the rifle and get it shooting at 30 yards. Then this is the row of groups I did at 30. So as you can see there, if we take a 5p piece, it pretty much dwarfs the size of the groups. But if we take a set of calipers and just take a quick measurement edge to edge, just see what we're shooting at there. So what's that, an 8mm group, probably another 8mm group there. This one slightly bigger, probably a 10mm group, something like a 10mm group. So at 30 yards the rifle will pretty much put the pellets through the same hole. So this row of groups here were all 5-shot groups, and then this hole here is just a full magazine. So 15 shots through one hole at 30 yards, which is quite impressive when you consider this rifle is so short. Moving over to the 50-yard groups, as I said earlier, this row at the top here were done using JSB shorts, H&N Barracuda 8s, and then the JSB Express pellets. If we take a 5p piece once again, and for those outside the UK, a 5p piece is 18mm in diameter, and use that to compare the groups, you can see most groups are at or under a 5p piece quite easily. Again, very impressive when you consider how short the rifle is and that it uses an unchoked barrel. Right then, whilst we're talking about performance, I just want to give you some information on the chronograph readings from the rifle. So from the factory, this particular rifle here was set up running just under 11 foot-pounds. I did use the hammer spring adjuster in the bottom of the rifle there to increase the feet per second to run around 11.2 foot-pounds, and that was just to get a better pellet speed at the longer ranges. From a full 300 bar fill, I'm getting just under 200 shots, so around 180 shots from a 300 bar fill, which again is very impressive when you consider this rifle uses a 250cc air tank and the barrel is also under 10 inches. The feet per second spread over a magazine is nice and tight as well. When running the rifle over a chronograph using the magazines, the feet per second ranged from around 10 to 14 depending on the pellets used, which when you consider I'm using unweighed, unsalted pellets through a brand new rifle, I don't think that's too bad, and I do expect that to get better over time as the rifle and regulator beds in. Right then, so with that all said, I am super impressed with the little Vixen. It has been a well-requested rifle on the channel, and I can see why. The rifle shoots absolutely amazingly well, and overall it's a well-built, solid little rifle. It does have its flaws, so for me personally the rifle is too short. I'm not overly impressed with the plastic butt section here, and I wasn't overly impressed with the plastic handguard at the front here. But with that said, the rifle is designed as a hunting rifle out in the field, and for that particular job I don't think I could name a more suitable rifle. It's very lightweight, very nice and pointable, and plenty accurate for anything that you want to use it for. So, with that all said and done, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.